Hello. So today we'll be discussing the statement of comprehensive income. So last time we discussed the statement of financial position or the balance sheet. So now we will be discussing yung nagme-measure ng financial performance, which is the statement of comprehensive income. So before we begin, we have the goals for this discussion to understand the objective and usefulness of an income statement, to understand the concept of comprehensive income, profit or loss, and other comprehensive income, to identify the components of other comprehensive income, to understand the subsequent reclassification of components of other comprehensive income, and to know the minimum line items in the statement of comprehensive income. So first, let's define the income statement. An income statement is a formal statement showing the financial performance of an entity for a given period of time. So income statement, it measures the financial performance, right? While yung balance sheet, it measures the financial position. Yung financial performance, this is also known as the results of operations of the entity. Okay? So the income statement uh, for a period presents the income, expenses, gains, losses, and net income or loss recognized during the period. Okay, so this period, it depends on the reporting period of the entity. Pero like I said, it is normally for 12 months or 1 year. Pero it can also be longer or shorter than 1 year depending on the business. Right? So the income statement records, ay presents yung performance ng entity within that period. So it presents the performance uh, through the income or through the income, expenses, gains, or losses of the entity. So information about financial performance is useful in predicting future performance and an ability to generate future cash flows. Okay, so we use the performance of the entity of the previous periods in order to predict its future performance. Okay, so that is now called a forecasting. We will be discussing it in our future lessons. Uh, Next is the comprehensive income. Comprehensive income is the change in equity during a period resulting from transactions and other events other than changes resulting from transactions with owners in their capacity as owners. Okay, so every change in the equity is presented as comprehensive income, right? Except for the changes from the owners, except for the change from the owners because diniscuss ko naman noon na kapag owners na ito, hindi na to income, no? So, for example, kapag owners is yung investment or withdrawal, kapag investment or withdrawal, it changes the equity of the business, but it is not an income or an expense. So it is not in the comprehensive income. Right? So comprehensive income includes the components of profit or loss and the other comprehensive income. Okay, so dalawa yan. Yung other comprehensive income, we will be calling it as OCI. So take note on that. Okay, so let us differentiate the profit or loss and the other comprehensive income. So the term profit or loss is the total income less expenses, excluding the components of other comprehensive income. In other words, this is the bottom line in the traditional income statement. An entity may use net income or net loss to describe the profit or loss. So yung profit or loss, this is yung kinocompute natin in the normal course of the business, right? So yung sales Yung sales natin pumupunta sa profit or loss, yung mga expenses natin, yung mga binabayaran nating salaries, yung mga binabayaran nating uh, utilities like electricity, like water. These are these are considered expenses and therefore in the profit or loss, right? Pero may mga so basically yung profit or loss, ito yung mga usual na nakikita natin or na-encounter natin sa business, right? So walang kakaiba sa profit or loss. Yung kakaiba lang is yung OCI, yung other comprehensive income. Other comprehensive income comprises items of income and expenses, including reclassification adjustments that are not recognized in profit or loss as required or permitted by the PFRS or Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. So yung OCI, ito yung mga may reclassifications o yung mga income or expenses na hindi kasama sa profit or loss. Okay? Bale yung OCI kasi, this is not encountered in the ordinary course of business. So, medyo special cases lang ang mga OCI. The components of other comprehensive income includes the following. Okay? So, let's take a look at all of these. First is the unrealized gain or loss on equity investment measured at fair value through other comprehensive income. Okay? So, kung may investment tayo, kung may equity investment, for example, is we bought stocks from the other companies. So that is an equity investment. Tapos, the business opted to measure it at fair value through OCI. Right? So, this is the choice of the business na i-measure na yung investment na yun through fair value, yung amount na amount that we get if we sell it through other comprehensive income. Okay, so the unrealized gain or loss, meaning yung pag-change ng fair value ng ating equity investment is kapag tumaas yung fair value, so this is considered as unrealized gain. Siyempre, kapag bumaba naman ang fair value nito, it is considered as unrealized loss. Okay? So the changes in fair value on these investments are recorded in the other comprehensive income. Okay? So next is, next, yung unrealized gain or loss on debt investment measured at fair value through other comprehensive income. So ito naman is debt investment. For example, nagpautang tayo through bonds sa other companies. So this is a debt investment kasi merong utang yung other company tapos meron tayong investment. So that is a debt investment. So the company opted to measure it through fair value through other comprehensive income, right? So like the equity investment, yung kapag tumas ang fair value nito, it is an unrealized gain. Kapag bumaba naman ang fair value nito, it is the unrealized loss. Okay? So, bale, pareho lang sila ng equity investment. It's just that the type of investment is different. Next is the gain or loss from translation of the financial statements of a foreign operation. Okay, so kapag ang business natin is meron itong transactions uh, with foreign entities, for example, may business tayo in Japan, siyempre, kapag nagtatransact tayo, hindi naman pesos ang gagamitin natin, kundi yung money ng Japan, which is yen. Okay, so from translating that yen into pesos, any gain or loss from that translation is recorded through the other comprehensive income. Okay? So next is the revaluation surplus during the year. Okay? Revaluation surplus, ito yung kapag nag i-revalue natin ang ating mga buildings, ang ating mga equipments, kapag i-revalue natin at yung bagong value ng mga buildings or equipments natin is bigger or smaller than or is bigger than the previously recorded amount of those buildings or equipments, it is called a revaluation surplus, right? So it will be recorded through the other comprehensive income. Next is the unrealized gain or loss from derivative contracts, designed as cash flow hedge. So ito namang derivative contracts na ito, these are contracts which are designed para meron tayong ceiling sa mare-record nating uh, income or loss, right? So, for example, meron tayong investment, tapos hindi natin alam kung uh, ilan ang magiging gains natin or ilan ang magiging losses natin. So, we entered into a derivative contract para malilimit natin ang ating gains or losses. So, for example, we will limit our gains or losses to 10,000. So, we will either have 10,000 gain or 10,000 loss. Nothing more, nothing less. So that are derivative contracts. So if from our derivative contracts, yung 10,000 na example natin, is we have the 10,000 gain, so that is an unrealized gain. Or kapag naman 10,000 loss, that is the unrealized loss. Okay, so yung mga unrealized gain or loss na yun, again, it is recorded through the other comprehensive income or presented to the other comprehensive income. Okay, yung mga derivative contracts, it is very a complicated topic, right? So wag niyo nang ano yun, wag niyo nang problemahin yun. Next is the remeasurements of defined benefit plan, including actuarial gain or loss. Okay, so kapag meron tayong defined benefit plan for our employees, so kapag merong defined benefit plan ang business para sa kanyang employees, any remeasurements of this defined benefit plan is recorded through the other comprehensive income. Okay. Again, this topic is also very complicated, so I will not bother explaining it kasi mahirap talaga hindi i-explain ito. Change in fair value attributable to creditors of a financial liability designated as fair value through a profit or loss. Okay, kapag naman meron tayong liability or financial liability and the business opted to measure it at fair value through profit or loss, any changes in the fair value attributable to credit risk, so credit risk ito, attributable to credit risk, is presented in the other comprehensive income. Okay, so just familiarize with the 7 components of other comprehensive income. Okay, so what are the presentation of other comprehensive income? PAS 1 provides that the statement of comprehensive income shall present line items for amounts of other comprehensive income during the period classified by nature. Okay, so we classify these as by nature. So the line items or amounts of OCI shall be grouped as follows. The OCI that will be reclassified subsequently to profit or loss when specific conditions are met. Okay, so For this, we will go back to the unrealized gains or losses. Okay? Ang mga changes nito ng mga investment natin, right, are unrealized. Why? Because wala naman tayong na-receive na true income. Okay? So, we will be only realizing these gains when we uh, when we collect or we sell the investment. Okay? Upon selling it or collecting the investment, these unrealized gains or losses will be reclassified into realized gain or losses and will be presented into the profit or loss. So these are that are one classifications, right? So next is the OCI that will not be reclassified subsequently to profit or loss. Okay, yung mare-reclassify to profit or loss includes, like what I said earlier, yung mga unrealized gain or loss measured at fair value through OCI. So, na-discuss ko na to, yung mga unrealized, yung mga change in fair value is unrealized gains or losses. So, upon collecting or selling the investments, it will be realized and will be reclassified subsequently to the profit or loss. Okay? Gain or loss from translating financial statements of a foreign corporation. Next is the unrealized gain or loss on derivative contract designated as cash flow hedge. Okay? Yung sabi ko kanina, yung derivative contract, it is designed para malimit ang ating mga gains or losses. Right? So, any changes in the derivative contract is unrealized gain or loss. So, kapag na-collect na natin ang derivative contract, it will be realized and subsequently reclassified to profit or loss. Okay? Next is we have the components of OCI that will not be reclassified subsequently to profit or loss, meaning it will remain in the OCI, so it will never be reclassified to the profit or loss. First is the unrealized gain or loss on equity investment. Okay, so sabi ko yung mga equity investment pala, these are this will not be reclassified to profit or loss. It will remain in the OCI. Okay, pero parehas lang din naman sila. Yung mga unrealized gain or losses, it will be realized upon collection or upon disposal of the investment, right? Disposal meaning it will be sold. It will be reclassified through the retained earnings. Okay? So instead na profit or loss, it will be reclassified to retained earnings upon disposal or upon selling it. Revaluation surplus during the year. The realization of the revaluation surplus is through retained earnings. Okay? So kapag yung revaluation surplus na sinabi ko kanina is realized either through the selling of it or through using it, yung mga buildings and equipments natin, it will be yung mga realized na yon, realized gains or losses, yung mga realized revaluation surplus, will be subsequently reclassified to the retained earnings as well. Okay? So, instead na profit or loss, retained earnings na siya. So, baka di nyo alam, yung retained earnings na to, ito yung nasa balance sheet or statement of financial position. Right? Ito yung dito pumupunta yung mga incomes and losses for the year. Okay? So, yung mga ito, instead na first pumunta sa profit or loss, it will go straight through the retained earnings. Okay, so last two. So, remeasurement of defined benefit plan. So, itong mga remeasurement, it will not be reclassified, but it will permanently be excluded from the profit or loss. Okay? So, remeasurements may be transferred between equity or retained earnings. So, parehas lang din ng mga dalawa ng previous two. It will not be classified to profit or loss, but it will go straight through the to the retained earnings. Change in fair value attributable to creditors of a financial liability assigned at fair value through profit or loss. Okay, so like the others, it will be uh, transferred to the retained earnings upon uh, at the end of the year. Okay, so that will be all for the discussion for today. This is our first discussion of the statement of comprehensive income. May sasend naman ako sa inyo na notes. You just read those notes to supplement your learning. Okay, so that will be all. Bye.